Hello, my podcast people, and thank you for joining me for yet another episode of my favorite online business podcast. If you're listening, tuning in, watching on the day that it drops, it is Monday, February 2nd. Welcome to February. Let me turn this up. There we go. Rupert always, he puts his head on the mic and then he turns the volume down, and I'm like, my guy. We're going to jump right on into today's topic because I want to. And today's topic is what to expect when you start speaking up online. So Alex Pretty was murdered, facts, by ICE on January 24th. It was all caught on camera. All of the United States saw it. All of the world saw it. And then the United States government said, don't believe your eyes. And it became what I think was the tipping point for many folks in the online space. Right? Many folks who were kind of on the fence or had been previously silent about all of the horrendous shit that has been going on. They spoke up about this, like across the, like I saw many people who I was surprised, and I was like, wow, I am proud of you. And some of it was a little bit of like a dipping the toe. It wasn't, full on like, this is fucking horrendous, but like they hadn't said shit before. And yes, I want to say, like, are you allowed to feel frustration that it's taken people, quote unquote, so long? Sure. And also, we all go at our own pace, right? For me, George Floyd's murder was actually the catalyst for things. And that was only in 2020. Shit has been going on hella long before that. I thank J-pop for being so patient with me. So I'm not here to throw stones and be like, these motherfuckers took forever. They didn't say anything. Like, a win is a win. They're here now. I'm happy. So I want to use this episode to give you a heads up as to what you can probably expect to happen once you start speaking up online. Right? And this is not to scare you. And it's not scary. Like you're going to see when I go through, it's not scary. But I put this episode out because I think that it actually, talking about it and telling you what to expect, actually decreases the fear, in my opinion, and increases the likelihood that folks will speak up. Because you get to see like, oh, there's the gift of going second. It's like, oh, it's not that bad. And it does matter. Speaking up does matter. Using your voice does matter. It is impactful. It is helpful objectively, which is a good segue for the first talking point, which is that speaking up on social media does matter and is helpful. Like, I'm going to go through I think I have like 4 or 5 things listed out. I'm going to go through those, but before you get to that, because this conversation I've had a bit, and I'm actually going to put some content out on socials about it. It does matter. Speaking up does matter, and it is helpful. If you've had any hesitation or reservation around speaking up, that's how you know that it matters. You wouldn't have hesitation otherwise. You know that it does something. If it didn't do anything, you wouldn't have hesitation. Right? Right? Does something. The long and the short of it is that people listen to people who they're close to. Right? They listen to people who they're close to. They listen to people who they trust. And for better or worse, they listen to people who look like them. This last point is especially true for white people. And I said what I said. And the reason I say, this specifically for white people is because white voices have the biggest share of the spotlight when it comes to the media. Right? So because of that, white people are who most people of any color are most used to hearing and seeing. Familiarity breeds trust, and humans are most likely to listen to things that they're the most used to hearing, right? That familiarity. The thing that they're the most used to hearing, that they're the most used to seeing, especially when it mirrors their own experience, right? That part is important, right? Especially when it mirrors their own experience. So not only is it the thing they're seeing the most of, but then they're like, this person looks like me. There's like an inherent trust there of like shared experience. I trust them a bit more. I'm not faulting anyone. I'm not faulting the situation. I'm just stating a fact. And I want to encourage folks to use this to their advantage. Right? I had a discussion today in my DMs, which partially inspired this episode. And this person was thanking me for speaking up and saying that it gave them the permission that they know they didn't need, but like it gave them permission to do the same and use their platform and speak up. And, they were thankful for that, even though they thought that it really didn't matter because they have a small following. And I was like, bitch, what? That sounded like a chicken. I'm like, bitch, what? Right? I'll argue that it matters more than what I say. Because the people who listen to them probably aren't listening to me. Or, flip side, they're more likely to listen to them. Let's move my desk up here for a second. All right? The majority of my followers, if you're watching this, you see, I got something in my eye. My eye is itching. This is not going to make for a good clip on Instagram, but it's real. And I'm not redoing it. All right, so I would argue that it matters more than what I say. What they say matters more than what I say, because the people who are listening to them, they're probably not listening to me. Or they're more likely to listen to that person. All right, the majority of my followers do not look like me. They're not like me. The majority of people I know don't look like me. I have a big voice. I have a big influence. I'm not a big person, 5'6", 125 pounds on a good day. So if you ever meet me, don't tell me you thought I'd be bigger. I'm not. A small frame, okay? All right, big voice, big influence, but I will never be able to, have that deep, granular impact, effect, relationship the way that you will have with your immediate circle of people. That's why micro influencers are so powerful. That's why if a brand is smart, they partner with that person, because that brand can never, I'm going to use the word penetrate, the way that that individual can. Right? It sounds terrible the way I said that, but it's the truth. You know what I'm saying? Right? It's just a fact. The ripple effect, or the butterfly effect, whatever you want to call it, it is real. Your impact is real. Your voice and your actions do matter, arguably more than anything when we're thinking about bridging gaps. All right, one of the biggest issues is that we do have internet silos, right? And we're over here saying one thing, thinking everyone thinks this way, and they're over there saying, other people are over there saying another thing. And the way that these gaps and these bridges get divided is with individual conversations. And I'm not saying that they have to get bridged. I think I just said the gaps get bridged. What did I say? I'm like, wait, did I say the right thing? The way that we bridge those gaps, right, is with one-on-one conversations. They don't have to be in person, but one-on-one conversations between people who care about each other in some way, shape, or form. That's the only way. My post, not going to go to some, super right-wing Trumper, and they're going to be like, oh, I see the light. But having, this kind of titrated effect where I speak to somebody who speaks to somebody who speaks to somebody who has a family member. And I mean, it probably doesn't need that many degrees, but I'm going to say it that way. Who has a family member that is over there, but is willing to listen and have a conversation. That's how things, those gaps start to get bridged. Right? It's with those conversations. Your impact is real. Your voice and your actions do matter. So, what to expect when you start speaking out online? Number one, support. Let's start with the positive here. If you've been listening to this podcast, I already know what kind of person you are. Right? Shitty people don't listen to this podcast. We attract what we are, not what we want. To that end, I know you're good people. You've attracted good people. You are surrounded by good people. I don't know how many, but they're there. And when you speak out, people will support you. They will thank you, and hopefully they will join you. You may have to give it a bit of time, especially depending on your audience size. Smaller audience, there's less people. But they will support you. Your people will support you. They will say thank you. They will be grateful that you went first. They will be grateful and thankful that you gave them permission to do the same. Second thing to expect, you're going to lose followers. All right, fuck that number, but you can see it and people get all bent up over it, so I'm just going to address it. You will lose followers, yes. Ideally, you don't lose too many. And, perhaps it's because hopefully it's because you've been showing up with such clear values this whole time that when you specifically state something, people are like, of course I thought you thought that. But the flip side is that the flip side of that is that you can absolutely have been showing up with your values and things like that, and people will see what they want to see, right? And convince themselves of whatever they want to convince themselves of. And that's fine. That's totally fine. That is 100% fine. All right. Agency, autonomy, they are sexy. adios, let them go. I've said this in the past episode, I do think that some of these people are bots and it's meta punishing you. At least I do think that is the case. I've lost a couple thousand of people, but my engagement is the exact same and like nothing has changed. So I'm like, what the fuck was this? I've said this from the beginning though. I think you see it on the other way as well. When you start to gain a lot of followers and going viral and things like that, I think that a good number of them are not actual people. I think it's meta. It's like, you go to the slot machine and you won. I think that it's the house letting you in so that you stay longer and not all of it's real people. But I'll let you say, you will lose followers. Who cares? I think it's bots. Move on. I just want to say, like, prep you for what to expect. Third thing to expect, trolls. They're going to be there. And this is, I think, the one that everyone is scared of. The reality is, unless you go viral, it's going to be minimal. The amount of trolling that you get. And it's going to be primarily in your DMs, right? Because people are little bitches, right? Yes, I do get them. I can probably count on like one hand the number of people that people, quote unquote, I'm going to use that loosely. Not all men, but always a white man. Always. That's who's in my DMs, being pathetic. Yes, I get some of them. And they just say dumb shit and you just like ignore it. Right? If you have a bigger following and you haven't spoken out before, and you're a white woman, you're going to get some dusties. I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to get some dusties. They're all going to be women as well. Some miserable fucks. That's what they are. The goal is not to get them. I never like set out to be like, and see how many like hate comments you can get. Immediately, no. That sounds fucking terrible. I'm just letting you know that it's a thing because many people are unhappy with their lives and they want to recruit you to their miserable fucking club. You can go to their profile. I do that anytime I get a comment like that. I go to the profile and sometimes I'm like, you're not real. Like, this is clearly like some sort of bot. I don't know. They're never following you. I'm like, how do you fucking see my stories? This is very weird. But you can go to their profile and the ones that are real, you're just like, man, you are fucking sad. You're miserable. They're often lonely people. And I don't say this to like justify their actions or like make myself feel better. I'm just like, this is a fact. Your profile is screaming for help. I'm not the one, but I can see it. My preference is to ignore these people. Some folks like to use it to make content. I think there's a time and a place for that. But for me, being, I am Petty McPedersen. And these people, they want attention. That's why they're doing it. These people are going to be in your DMs. They are unable to self-regulate. They are literally, the ones that are actually real, they are typically throwing a temper tantrum. And they're saying something like, how dare you take away my way of soothing? So if any of you, create content, I had a conversation with a friend that does calligraphy, and she had people in her DMs that were like, "How dare you? No, don't say this stuff. Don't bring politics." I'm like, everything's fucking political, but don't bring politics into this. This channel's an escape for me. I'm like, bitch, go to therapy. Learn how to self-regulate. These are literally adults having temper tantrums inside of your DMs because they cannot self-soothe, they cannot self-regulate. And now you have taken away one of their coping strategies, their coping mechanisms, and they are throwing a temper tantrum. So me being me, first of all, I have not received that kind of comment because my account doesn't do that. It's not this like soothing kind of account. All right, but if that was to happen, I'm just ignoring that. I'm not making a post about it because these people want attention as well. The ones that I do get in my DMs, I'm like, this is attention-seeking behavior. And you're not getting it from me. I'm not giving you what you want. You want to act like you are definitely not getting what you want. You want to act like this. So I'm not going to make a post about it because all it does, in my opinion, is give them what they want, which is attention. All right. But I did say that I think there's a time and a place for it. And I largely mean like when you share their shit and people get fired from their jobs. I'm like, fuck around, find out. I approve of that. I approve of this message. So depending on what's being said, I think there's a time and a place. But for everything that I've encountered in the DMs that I've received that are just like, one person was like, eat a dick. And I was like, looks more your speed, my guy. But, things like that. They're never anything that's like, oh my God, this is like so bad that you said to me. I just ignore them. Sad people. But as it relates to virality, right, getting trolled is one thing. And then going viral and getting trolled is different. And this is different irrespective of what you're talking about. It doesn't matter if you're political. It could be like you just went viral for fitness. It doesn't matter. When you go viral, you get exposed to like literally the worst fucking people on the internet. They have nothing to fucking do. But like they have no lives. Just remember that you control your experience. So you can turn off the comments on that post. You can turn on comments only for people that are following you. You could pull the content down altogether. Right? You have a say as to what happens with this content. You fully control your experience because virality can be too much and you can be like, I don't want it. I don't like it. I have never gone viral in that way, but I've seen people go viral. And you get to choose. Right? Jill and I have talked about this, and I'm largely saying this just to present the worst case scenario, to completely catastrophize. Because I talk about this, like go all the way, completely catastrophize, run it through, and then create an action plan, a game plan, action items, which is exactly what we just did. Maybe you go viral, the worst people ever come around, and you turn off you leave it. Maybe you're fine. You're like, I actually don't care. Maybe you turn off comments. Perhaps only people who are following you can comment. Perhaps you pull the content. You get to choose. Because it can, I'm thinking about this and just being realistic, it can get bad. I'm thinking about, Meredith and Alex and times they've gone viral. The flip side is that going viral can be really good for your account. I'm not going to call a spade here. Or I'm going to call a spade here. So for some people, they're like, it's worth it. Yeah, I know I get the worst people, but I also get really good people. So it's up to you. Just want to put that out there. And Jill and I had a chat about this, and she was like, I think everyone should go viral once. And I was like, I don't know if I want that. I'm sensitive. But there's definitely something to be said about seeing that these people are just miserable fucks and not as bad as you think, and then just moving on and being like, I don't fucking care anymore. Point number 4, right? I have, I think I got 5, yeah. Point number 4, what to expect when you start speaking up online. You'll get perspective. You will get perspective. You'll start to see what matters to you. You'll start to see the influence and the impact that you have. And you will start to look at other people's actions differently. All right? And the only thing that I want to address here is that calling out other people and saying things like, don't follow anyone who isn't speaking up, that ain't it, right? It's no better than what we're fighting against. If you're frustrated that somebody or someone in your circle hasn't spoken up or isn't speaking up, have a conversation with them on the phone or in person, right? And lead with curiosity. That's it. Otherwise, mind your business. And a big thing that Jill says is contrast creates clarity. And what I'm going to suggest you do here is you use this perspective that you have to really identify what your values are around everything, and then continue to lean into them. Because what we're going to see, I'm calling it now because I'm already starting to see it, is we're going to see people speaking up because it's vogue, because it's trending, because it's tacky not to. And the Overton window shifts. So for those of you that don't know what the Overton window is, the Overton window, definition here, is a political science concept showing the range of ideas a society finds acceptable for public discussion, shifting over time from unthinkable to policy, influencing how activists move radical ideas towards the mainstream by persistently advocating for them, even if outside the current window, thereby expanding societal norms and political possibilities. This was developed by Joseph Overton in the 1990s, and it categorizes ideas as unthinkable, radical, acceptable, sensible, popular policy, with policymakers often following the window rather than leading it, though long-term shifts occur due to events like crises or advocacy. We're seeing it happen. It's been happening in not necessarily the right way, the correct way, but it's been happening. And we're going to see folks start to basically build their marketing around this and look to capitalize off of it, right? Things like, if you want your anti-fascist boss babe coach, I'm your girl. You want your anti-fascist copywriter, I'm your girl. And you're like, what? That should be given. What's happening? It's like when you go and buy almonds and they're like, say it's like gluten-free or whatever. And you're like, why would that have been in there in the first place? This is just marketing? What? Right, but I'm going to take it. Not the almond marketing, but I'm going to take the Overton window shifting and people speaking up, because a win is a win. As it relates to this, a win is a fucking win. But in the spirit of this episode regarding what to expect when you start speaking out online, like that is something to expect. It's going to happen. It's already happening. You will start to see more of it. Number 5, the last thing, not the last thing like you should never expect it, but the final thing on the list of things to expect when you start speaking out is that you are going to have to keep doing it, and it's going to take a long ass time to change things. And we might never see the full fruits of our labor. Laura Jean talks about this, right? Planting seeds for a forest that you may never step foot in. Change takes time. The bones of this house that we be living in, they are rotten. Rotten to the bone. The bones are rotten to the bones, right? They're rotten to the core. Even with my example before, right, of the anti-fascist boss babes, anti-fascist copywriters, it speaks to the underlying issue that we have, which is the particular flavor of corporate capitalism that is so embedded in our society, that's so foundational and fundamental, right? Our specific flavor of capitalism necessitates and requires racism in order to continue. But at the heart of all the shit that's happening, it's capitalism, right? It's corporate extractive capitalism. And as long as that's the driver for things and involved in things, the fight continues and things continue to stay, I don't say they don't continue to stay exactly the way they are, but the radical change that we're looking for isn't there, right? It's just parts of it. We're working towards it. All that to say, this shit's going to take a long time. I know I'm going to have to make up content about this because people are excited. They're feeling inspired. They're feeling momentum, which is great. But what happens is, if you've ever done any kind of distance running, I used to run cross country many years ago. And like you're running and then you're like, oh, I gotta get over that hill. And then you get over the hill and you're like, what the fuck? There's more hills. Like, even though you know the course beforehand, but you're just like, there's more. And I just use so much energy. Fuck. No finish line in sight. I'm going to have to remind people of that. And people have been reminding people of that since the beginning of time and talking about it as a marathon, not a sprint. But I don't want to, I'm saying it to you folks because you're my best folks, my closest folks. You and my email list. I don't want to put it out preemptively because then people won't do anything. They're like, why would I start then? And I was like, I get that. I understand that. But it is going to be a long, long journey. But just because something is a big task doesn't mean we don't try. We just need more help. And that, my friends, to bring it full circle, is the value of that ripple effect. That one voice speaking up, someone else hears it, they hear it, they speak up, etc., etc., etc. Right. So if you're listening to this episode, hearing this episode, and you've been speaking out, thank you. If you haven't, that's fine too, right? This episode is not to shame you or guilt you into speaking up and speaking out. Right? If you can't speak out for whatever reason, this episode is literally not for you. Like, it's not for you. Not at all. This episode is for the folks who are thinking about speaking out, speaking up, but maybe nervous. It's for the folks who have started, but are wondering, what happens next? What does this look like? I'm kind of dipping my toe. Is water that deep? This is what to expect. And this episode's for the folks who have been doing it. J-Pop, I'm thinking about you. They've been doing it forever. This episode is for them to tip their hat, hold up their drink, and say, welcome to the rodeo. We've been waiting for you. Happy to have you. All right. That is all that I got for today. Oh, look at Rupert in the background giving himself a bath. Rude. Got to block that out. Block that out. Censor that. That is all that I got for you for today. As always, I am endlessly, truly, truly endlessly, one more time, endlessly appreciative for every single one of you. I had a Threads conversation. Someone posted about podcast hosts, and they were like, I don't see enough like Black queer podcast hosts on here and my feed. And I was like, well, I will raise my hand because that's actually literally me. And I was just like, I got over 700 episodes. I got over 1 million downloads. Like, here's my podcast. And Jeremy from Personal Finance Club, he's good people. He wrote back and he was like, that's really fucking impressive. Like 1 million downloads. And I was like, honestly, it's one of the things that I am most proud of. one of the accomplishments that I'm the most proud of in life. And I'm grateful for every single download. I'm grateful for every single listen. Right? I share my brain on here, my values, my heart, and you folks listen. And whether you listen to one episode, all the episodes, some of the episodes, I know I'll be talking about, I know I'd be fucking yapping. I know. 700 episodes, a lot of fucking yapping. And then I got the other podcast as well. And you listen. And I really, folks, I really, really do appreciate it. All right. I'm going to wrap it up there. Would love to hear from you if you want to share your thoughts or whatever. Been having some really good combos in the DMs. Feel free to text me as well. 310-737-2345. Okay. Officially wrapping up there. Until next time, friends. Maestro out.